Good day, students. Today let us understand this concept of relatively elastic supply. Now, if we have a situation where there is a change in price changes by a small amount, but if your quantity supplied reacts to this price change and it changes by a large amount. So that means, let's suppose say the price rises small amount and supply also rises by a large amount. Or if the price falls by a small amount but supply falls by a large amount, such a situation is described to be a case of relatively elastic supply. So the proportionate change in supply is more than the proportionate change in price. So it is like saying if price increases by 10%, quantity supplied will also increase but by more than 10%. So it can increase by 20%, can increase by 30, 40, 50, 60. Right, as long as the supply changes by a greater amount as compared to the change in price. So therefore, since your percentage change in supply will be larger as compared to percentage in price, the value of ES, which is elasticity of supply, will always be greater than 1. Now this happens because your numerator, which is your percentage change in supply, is greater than your denominator, which is your percentage change in price. Now, what are some of the examples of commodities which have a relatively elastic supply? Generally, durable commodities, for example, household goods, any commodities which are long-lasting in nature. Now, such commodities will have a relatively elastic supply because the supplier has the option of storing the commodity. So, if the price falls, he doesn't have to do a sale just for the sake of sale. He has the option of storing the commodity and he can sell it at a time when the price rises. Now let us look at drawing a supply curve. Now your first step would be in drawing the x and the y-axis. Your next step would be to label the x-axis and the y-axis. Then you need to measure what is measured on the x-axis, which is quantity supplied. Y-axis has the price. Now, we then draw the supply curve and we call it SS. Then we look at any point on the supply curve and we mark it as, let's look at this point here, and therefore we have the price as OP, quantity supplied OQ. When price increases now to OP1, okay, the arrow shows the increase in price. Let us now say we move to this point. So the price increases to OP1, because of which the quantity supplied increases to OQ1. So we can say that at 10%, if the price has increased by 10%, the quantity increases by 20%, by a larger amount. Now, relatively elastic is being explained by this distance here. If you see the distance between P and P1, is this length smaller as compared to this length, which is longer? Right? This distance is small while this distance is big, isn't it? So this distance is your change in supply, while this distance is your change in price. Thank you.